Hey, this is for the math-minded individuals that we have out there and how math and history kind of combine. Whatever. Okay, so did the United States Civil War cause industrialization? That's the big question. And pretty much the answer is yes, it did. Many individuals believe that the Civil War brought unprecedented economic growth to the industry, and it did. All right, it's stimulated by um, increased demand for wartime goods, and that was like everybody's making more and more stuff. And we find this in our wars. We do make a lot more stuff, and it stimulates the economy. Many industrialists are just basically charged ahead, and they want to produce goods and services that we needed, such as iron and steel. Railroad is going through the roof at this point. And so, if you look at the Civil War as an example, how does war seem to affect the nation's economy? It almost always grows. Um, does war foster economic growth or does it slow? And while it seems to slow at the time because it's different type, it really does, in the end result, cause our economy to bolster, um, in my humble opinion. All right, so the Civil War. It is the deadliest war in American history. If you combined all of the deaths from all of our wars, we still don't, we're getting close, but we still don't reach the total deaths. All right, over 3 million soldiers fought in America. The youngest was 9 years old. That's insane. Think about where you were when you were 9 years old. Would you be fighting for a cause? Would you even know what a cause, the cause that you believed in? 660 is the official number, but obviously there's probably some after that. They die, making this war the heaviest of all casualties for American history. 60,000 die in prison camps alone. That's us allowing our own prisoners of war to die. And that's just kind of crazy. 300,000 die because of sickness and disease that are happening. It's just a bad, bad scene, folks. A lot of death. So if you look at comparisons, all right, for this is for the math people. World War II, you're like, wow, that's a lot of people, 405,000. It is a lot of people, all right? But still, if you add the 117 from World War One, now we're at what? 522, and we're still not 660. And then you add the 58 from Vietnam, all right? So 522 plus 58, that's right, 70, all right? So then you have the 37,000. So then we're at 600,007. And then you have the 4,000 from Revolution. So whatever, 607 plus 9, 616 plus 4, 620. So we're at what, 621? If you combine all the other wars that we fought in, and 660 for the Civil War. So we're getting close. We're about 40 some odd thousand behind, but it's still a lot of deaths for 4 straight years of war. All right, how did it impact the economy, especially in the South, obviously? So 10 pounds of bacon back in 1860, $1.25. At the midpoint of the war, it's $10. So I'm just going to show that to you. You can put it on pause, think about it. How in the world in 3 years? I mean, look at soap. 30 cents to 5.50 back then when most people were making $2 or $3 a day. That's crazy. Pause it if you want and look. All right, so northern products truly increase. We have war factories occurring. Sewing machines are saving lives, and they're being invented. They're sewing clothes quickly so people don't freeze and things like that. So that's huge. And then we have the mechanical reaper. So we have agriculture, working and working and working continuously. Railroads, as I mentioned earlier, are expanding. So some cost-benefit analysis here. Slavery's done, so we have a group of people now who need jobs. Believe it or not, they become field hands or farm workers or crop sharers. Um, the They are protected under the Constitution, which is huge. We do have higher military employment because we need to monitor the South, and the industrial situation is totally through the roof because of war-related goods. The benefits and the costs. All right, $15 billion back then, folks. That's a lot of money. Human death, dismemberment, it is disgusting. You have individuals without limbs, and the destruction of the railroads, the factories, they all have to be rebuilt. Towns in the South are totally destroyed, burned by fire. Livestock gone. Economic decline of the South. It takes a long time for the South to even come close to catching up. Um, the people who lose their slaves, they are workers. Now they're not being compensated to, they spent all that money on the slaves. And I'm not saying that they deserve any money, but I'm just saying it's uncompensation here. Inflation is going up. We saw that with the Southern chart of bacon and soap and things like that. Production is not doing too well for the South. Um, so, and there's a loss of rights of states to secede or claim independence. So that's a bad thing. But you do have situations that states' rights does need to possibly, supersede federal rights, and based on a state-by-state basis. As of the situation with the coronavirus, we went with state by state. What is best for each state? There are certain states that they didn't have to worry about as much, but then other states like New Jersey, New York, California, Florida, Washington that did have to worry more because they needed to isolate and make sure that you are protected. All right. All right. So some political and economic developments. There are some strange things going on with this slide. I have no idea where my stuff is. So these things occur politically in America when the South is not even in Congress. The first thing is the Homestead Act, and that was to encourage Southerners truly to move west, and they took the Native American land. It's in 1862. Some guy named Abraham Lincoln, you may have heard of him, he signs it and encourages westward expansion without slaves. All right, so you could leave, but you couldn't take your slaves with you. And it's 160, 165 acres given to anybody who would farm it for 5 years. That's a big, big free land deal. But of course, we're taking it from the natives. The Union Pacific Railway, that was created, and so we start having more and more railroads across the country. And our first transcontinental railroad is done in 1869, 4 years after the Civil War. That's huge, and that totally takes the north, the east and the west, combining them, and bam, good. All right, so tariffs, you may have heard of them before. They're put in place to protect northern industry during this time, and it just makes you wonder, what do we know about tariffs? Tariffs. Tariffs. Are they good or are they bad? Do they make you happy or just make you mad? Tariffs. Tariffs. Okay, so the situation here is we have Congress establishing a single federal currency during this time as well. All right, and this is known as the greenbacks. Get to know this term. You're going to be dealing with this in about 35 years under a guy named William Jennings Bryan, who talks about the cross of gold. What should our economy be based on? Gold, silver, stocks, and things like that. So that is going to start now. And then we have to deal with war debts, all right? And the Union actually is issuing war bonds during this time. And it also is establishing an income tax. Doesn't last for long. And it's not the official one that we deal with every year nowadays. That's not until the progressive era of the 19 teens. But it establishes the idea that if you make money, the government's going to take some from you. All right. And then we have basically the one piece during this time. We talked about it a little bit. He suspended habeas corpus before. And free speech and free press was also interrupted during this war. It is really showing that the federal government is taking over. They are establishing basically their rights over Americans during wartime. And that's a huge battle that we deal with even today. You know, how much power does the federal government really truly get to have? All right. I don't know what just happened there. My whole slide just disappeared. All right. So other effects. Oh, what the heck is going on? All right. So it is a creation of a single unified country and the abolition of slavery. All right, so slavery is no more. Increase the power of the federal government, and it basically kills the states' rights issues. All right, the U.S. now is an industrial nation, as I told you in the beginning of this slideshow, and this is the last slide. We have a stronger sense of nationalism occurring. People are more unified, and Western lands become open to settlement, and we start to pile up new states. Bam, 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 bam. People are spreading out. They're tired of fighting, and they are looking for freedom. Might just happen again, I'm thinking. All right, people might be just like, I need to separate myself from individuals, and maybe they'll move to more rural areas. Who knows? The South was economically, physically devastated. They needed to rebuild the entire thing. We call it the Reconstruction era. It lasts for more than 12 years, but officially 12 years. All right. And the South still had a deep, deep hatred for the North. They did not want to get over this thing. And there's a lot of damage going on. And the way that we handle the next 12 years, it may have been the reason why there's so much anger and hatred. So, all right, that's about it for the Civil War. I hope you had a great time learning about it. I love teaching this stuff. This is my, just wow, just like the Constitution and Civil War and War of 1812. I don't know. I just love teaching this stuff. I'm so glad I get to teach it to you. I hope everything's going well, and take care. Enjoy.